is our podcast, and I'm Chris.
And I'm Wendy. Hi, nice to meet you.
Thank you so much for joining us. I went and recently saw the new Pet Sematary movie.
Oh, yes, you did.
It was good. For me, it was a little hard to fully appreciate the new movie, just because I'm stupid nostalgic. I've seen the original a few hundred times, and I love it. And the book also. So I went into the new one with like really high expectations.
Bad idea.
Yeah, it is. It is a bad idea because overall the movie was good. It was a good movie. But when you go in, like you're expecting to get like punched in the face with this awesome new thing. And I kind of get now where people who were huge into the book It went to see the new movie, how they were just like devastated. Like they thought it was going to be this huge, epic, awesome movie. And to them it wasn't. Whereas to me, who hadn't read it yet, I was like in love with the new It. I'm like, this is incredible. This is great. And I got to take my son to it. And it was a whole new world for him, for horror. Like he just really loved it. Same thing with Pet Sematary. It really blew him away.
The way movies were done just late 80s, early 90s and stuff like that. Filmmaking is so different. It looks so different. They're constantly updating those cameras and just the way everything looks. So our kids... Yeah. These remakes are really great for our kids because they're getting to appreciate something that we appreciated, but it's on their level. And I think they do. I'm very proud of them for appreciating older films and not minding so much that the quality doesn't look that great. You know what I mean? They can still find the appreciation of just how good it is or whatever. Yeah. But at the same time, it really gets them way more into it if it's on their level, I think. So like the It remake and the Pet Sematary and stuff. It's taking them into that Stephen King world without having to watch an old 80s film or early 90s film. Yeah.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Oh, my son freaking loved this movie. He was just blown away. And I'm nitpicking because I had just recently been through the book. And that was really my fault. Had I not just like slammed that book, I really would have appreciated it for what it was, which is a good horror movie. And Wendy, there's something in that movie that I think you'll even appreciate.
I doubt that.
If it's out by the time you're up here in July, maybe we'll just do like a horror flick every night to get you caught up. What do you say?
Because you want me like standing by your bed in the middle of the night being like, hey, can I get in the bed with you? I'm scared.
You remember when we went and saw, what was it, Paranormal Activity in the theater? And it was just us in the theater and like nobody else, because I guess nobody does that on a weekday. And you're like, I don't want to see that movie. I'm like, yes, you do. Was it Paranormal Activity 4 or 3 or I don't know which one.
It was up there because I know we watched like the first one like New Year's Eve or something, didn't we? Yeah. Like in the house, all the lights turned off and super late.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. I appreciate horror films. I just don't dig it.
It's not your jam.
I just hate feeling like I've been gotten. Every time they jump out and stuff, I'm like, you son of a bitch. You got me again. Like as if it's not going to happen.
That's so funny.
My nerves can't take it, man.
Yeah. I mean, I can get where you're coming from there, but for me, it's almost like relaxing because I don't have to think about it. It's just there.
It's a safe scare.
It is.
Right?
Yeah.
It can't hurt me.
Right.
Unless it's like develop some poltergeist activity and stuff like that.
Right. Unless it's like The Ring, where if you watch it, then in like 5 days.
Yes.
Yeah.
Something like that. Something like that. Like the fuck. Never mind. I forgot. The movie where she gets sucked into the TV.
Oh, yeah, the Poltergeist. Yeah, is that what you said?
I was like, wait, is it? What is wrong with that?
Yeah, it's Poltergeist. That's a good one.
Yeah, I think my brain is turning into mush. With all this heat, because Arizona's just cranked it up. They were like, you liked that 1 week of spring? We're done with that shit. 90 degrees. And I'm loving it because the armpits are out and the legs are out and stuff. But also at the same time, when you are a cheapskate like me and you're trying to hold off putting your air conditioner on, it's a little like, am I sweating inside my own house? Like,
oh, man.
You like that? I probably shouldn't be drinking coffee, late into the afternoon as well. But.
Well, I noticed that when we first started podcasting that you were definitely wearing a tank top and I am definitely wearing a sweater. It's because in New England, spring has finally sprung here. It's 77 degrees outside, but it's also raining. So we have to have the air conditioning on.
You have your air conditioning on?
Yep.
Oh,
Yup. I can't open the windows. It'll be right, and we're podcasting, so maybe it'll be good sound effects for the show. I don't know. My printer is right underneath the window, so that's not good.
No, that wouldn't be safe. But I love the sound of rain. It rained earlier this week, and this is getting off topic. It's not paranormal at all. But just so you know, the sacrifice I make for the podcast is as I don't even turn the fan on in here so that sound doesn't bother you. So yes, I am truly sweating underneath
You like
my
the heat.
arm.
Is the coffee hot? Do you have ice cubes in it?
No, I'm like, some people might think it's gross, but I don't care. Mine sits there for so long it gets like room temperature or whatever. I mean, it's a little chilled. I didn't mean to make it iced coffee. It just kind of turned into cold coffee.
You know, my husband does the same thing. He doesn't drink it scalding hot like I do, which is actually a good thing, Wendy, because recently he read that drinking scalding hot liquids is a cause for cancer. So there you go.
What?
Drink it cold. There's a vein that runs down your throat. I think it's probably the same one that is triggered when you eat something too cold too quickly that you get like, the brain freeze.
Brain freeze, yeah.
Yeah. So apparently they recently discovered that by drinking hot liquids, that vein is affected to the point where I guess it causes throat cancer or something like that too. So there you go. If the stomach shit that I've got going on doesn't kill me, then I guess it's going to be throat cancer because I drank my coffee super hot.
Oh my God. I can't wait to do this podcast with you as a ghost though. I'm going to be famous. And
I'm going to be dead.
You're going to be dead, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
That'll be an amazing podcast. So my stories every week are either going to be like the same stories that you already heard because, I'm going to be one of those spirits that just repeats itself like all the time. And you're going to be like, yep, Chris, I already heard that story, but yep, okay.
It won't even matter because you're a ghost, so it'll still be the coolest thing out there. But speaking of podcasts, and also talking about the summer, though I know it's not truly summer for most people, it's just in Arizona at this point. But the summer is approaching, and myself and my family are like finalizing vacation plans and everything. Ever since I moved from Tennessee to Arizona, my sister and I always do a family vacation every summer. And like I've said before, I'm a total asshole. And no matter what, I am always trying to cram in some kind of paranormal adventure. Uh-huh. Whether that means dragging like the whole family to some kind of day tour to a haunted location, or if it's me like trying to carve out some personal time to go off and investigate by myself. I'm just an ass, and I'm always, everywhere we're going to go, they say we're going to this city, haunted places in that city. That's the first step of planning vacation.
Hell yeah.
So
I do that too.
Oh, I know you do. And when it's our immediate like kids and everything, that they get it. They are fine. But when you include the entire family, my sister's side, there's 9 of us total.
Wow, yeah.
And then if my parents come, it's 11. So 11 people trying to decide on what they want to do is basically a nightmare in itself. And then you try to throw in my weird interests and try to get everybody on board. And it just turns into kind of an argument between me and my sister on like what to add to the itinerary.
Yeah, because she's not down for that mostly.
No.
Yeah.
No, the kids are cool with it.
Yeah.
They think all the spook locations are really neat. They can't wait to tell their friends. They feel so badass. Yeah. And then I'm like the coolest aunt ever, But then my sister, as you know, like you just said, she is not down with the paranormal investigating.
Yeah.
So
she's down for a good 10 or 15 minutes, depending. And then after that, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, she's kind of over it. But she loves road trips, and she loves like going places and getting away from her kids, I think. But so doing all this family vacation planning with her got me thinking about this one road trip that my sister and I once took. So a few months after you had moved to New England and I was still in Tennessee, you and I had made plans to both meet in the middle and find a spot to do a paranormal investigation. Yeah. To my fucking surprise, my sister was like, I'll be your co-pilot. I'll go with you. And I was like, okay, cool. I thought, great, somebody to help me drive there, But then she also agreed to go on the investigation. She didn't want to just sit in the hotel and be bored. So she's like, yeah, I'll go along with you.
That's so funny because that's what my husband did because he was my co-pilot. He's like, I'm gonna take a nap, and then he ended up watching TV. So they would have actually just been watching TV together.
I think had she known that he was gonna like just chill in the hotel room, she'd be like, yeah, let's get a movie and a pizza
and that's what he
stuff
did.
like that. Totally my jam. You know, I think she thought that he would sleep or something, and she's like, that's awkward. Like them sleeping in a hotel room together. Just like, yeah, I'll go with the girls. I'll do the girl thing. That's not my thing at all. So when we started paranormal investigating, we worked up to it. We hit the cemeteries around town. We hit friends' houses, neighbors' houses, anybody that said this little spot is haunted, go check it out. Yeah. And then we started road tripping to places, you know, this haunted old house, this haunted old hospital. That's when we worked up to like the bigger locations. Yeah. My sister had never been on an investigation truly because she chickened out of walking into a cemetery once before. So she could not even get past the gate, right?
She was like, nope, I'm going to sit in the car and watch.
Nope. It's dark outside. I'm not going. Never mind. And she just sat in the car. So for her first paranormal investigation, first and only paranormal investigation, true investigation, my sister deserves a gold star because she made it through the West Virginia Penitentiary, better known as Moundsville State Penitentiary.
I have a sweatshirt from that place.
I have a ski cap.
Yes.
Or a toque, whatever you want to call it, that
we ended up having to buy because it was so damn cold. We didn't know it was going to snow that night. It was freezing.
I mean, it was later March, and then in that area, you think, yeah, it's going to be cold or whatever. But we had coats and everything. Right. We had no idea it was going to be so fucking cold.
I was wearing boots because I was coming from New England, but I wasn't wearing like made for snow. Right.
Right.
It was cold.
No, and I don't even own half that kind of stuff. So we had to get sweaters and jackets and ski caps while we were there because we were dying like immediately.
Yes, I was so cold. You know, I was very recently looking at our pictures.
I saw that and I said, she's trying to do my story.
I was doing the story.
I knew you were. When you posted those pictures, I said she was doing this fucking story. That's what it is. And then I was like, should I just let her do it? She'd probably do it better. And then I was like, no, I already fucking wrote it.
No, you wrote it. Go for it.
But then you have a lot to add to it, which you would anyways, because you were there.
Right.
But if I miss any of the key history points, you know, just chime in and stop me and tell me.
All right.
Because I highlighted a few, but if you think there's something I'm missing that's great and everybody should know, definitely let it out there. So
cool.
Moundsville State Penitentiary is massive. It's massive. It's old. It's dark in there. It's well documented that it's a haunted location. It has no problem screaming, I'm scared. I'm a scary fucking place. So, like I said, props to my sister for making through this because I was even intimidated when we got into this place.
Man, no shit.
And as we walked through, and definitely just the two of us walking through, it was quite scary. It's just big and it's dark and it's cold. And it really can be intimidating just walking the halls, never mind the fact that you are trying to take the time to interact with the other side and invoke spirits to talk to you and stuff. So I even recall at one point it was just me and you at that point. It was towards the end of the night and we had kind of got turned around from wherever we were and we were in a hallway, I guess, but there was kind of like furniture or something in the way. Yeah. And so it seemed like it was a maze that we were going through and it
really did.
It felt kind of enclosed and I got really like panicky on the inside for a second there because I was like thinking we were fucking lost and we were never going to be found. And you know, I don't obviously at some point we were going to wander back to other people and to light or to the outdoors and we'd be fine. I think it was just that whole thing of not knowing where you were and not having like an exit route in plan. Yeah. Yeah. To know if some serious shit went down at this moment, where do I run? I'm going to smack into this like table or something. I don't know what. They were like partitions up. that we were going through, because sometimes
it was like a maze.
You.
Yeah.
And I'll panic without you. So I mean, that's what was dying.
That's so crazy. I don't even remember you having like this fear
because I didn't verbalize it, because that even kind of scared me to like admit out loud. I mean, I really felt like something was there with us at the time and kind of like right behind me, and to sit there and say, I'm scared or whatever, there's something creeping up right behind me, admitting that it's there. I'm afraid at that moment it's going to pounce on you and like take you down,
Man.
So I didn't say anything. We quickly found our way out and I calmed down. But I thought to myself, that feeling that I had of like feeling lost and not having this escape route if something went down. I imagine there's lots of people that have gone through these walls through the years that had the exact same feelings, the same kind of emotions. However, for them, their panic and their scare was on a totally different level.
Completely.
It was about something totally different than just being scared of the dark and not being able to see your partner.
Oh my God. It's funny. I just want to interject for just a second while you're talking about feeling panicky. There was a point while we were going through the prison, and I was so geeking out about being there that I was like doing like walk like an Egyptian and like making silly faces, like geeking out as if I was at Six Flags or something.
But I get that too, though, because I love I love the scare of it. I mean, it's so weird because I just told you I don't like horror films, but I love really intimidating locations like this. That Waverly, the massive many doorways.
It's the
history that's there, but also just the long, dark hallways. It's all like, that is the best to me. I love those locations. Yeah. So as much as it scared me, I was so excited at the same time, like cannot wait to see what will happen here. But also I don't want to die. Okay.
All right. And that.
Yeah. So the West Virginia Penitentiary is a Goth-style stone structure complete with turrets and battlements located in Moundsville, West Virginia.
Oh, yeah. It's fucking creepy looking.
It is impressive.
Yeah.
Like whatever architect, thought up this, he was on something. are very into dark stuff.
They did it with the intent of scaring people so that they wouldn't want to go to jail there. Yeah. It was creepy.
Yeah. The prison operated from 1876 to 1995. In 1863, West Virginia seceded from Virginia at the height of the American Civil War. But as a new state, they were kind of lacking in proper facilities or even the funds to have these public institutions, including prisons. So county jails attempted to manage the problem individually, while public officials lobbied to the state for funds for a new prison. After 9 inmates escaped from a county jail in 1865, the press went fucking nuts. And finally, the funds were approved and they got their new state prison. The North Wagon Gate section was built first with both north and south cell blocks. These areas included a kitchen, dining area, hospital, chapel, and 224 cells. A 4-story tower in the center had space for female inmates and living quarters for the warden and his family. Inmates actually took part in the construction of this prison. And when the prison opened, there were already 251 male inmates. So quick, easy math here.
Yeah.
They're already having to double up on some places. It's
tight.
Obviously already, tight living spaces are overcrowded already from day one. I don't know. But soon after, work began on multiple prison like workshops and other secondary facilities. In addition to that construction, the inmates had other jobs to do to support the prison, such as carpentry and paint. And they had a wagon shop and a stone yard and a brick yard and a blacksmith and a tailor and a baker.
Man.
And they even worked the hospital themselves. They also had their own farm and their own coal mine. They had their own fucking coal mine. I mean, they were ridiculously self-sufficient and they were saving the state a lot of money because they could handle shit themselves. And I think they were even outsourcing some of that. Not outsourcing, but like, we mine too much for ourselves. Here's some coal for the state too. And it's free labor pretty much.
Right. Oh.
Yeah. They also added a school and a library years later. So, I mean, as far as prisons go, this place sounds pretty great.
Yeah, it was bumping.
Yeah. They had all these different kind of skills for the prisoners to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were trying to educate them and everything. It really actually sounded like a reformatory for a second there.
Yeah.
Until the population grew and overcrowding became a serious fucking issue. And at one point they even had 3 inmates to a 2-person cell.
Wow, yeah. We saw those cells. They were already teeny tiny.
Teeny tiny. I don't even, imagine you have to spend your entire life bunking with someone else, then add in 2 somebody else's.
Man, I mean, there's just no room.
No.
Oh, God.
I don't think I could ever even live in a tiny house with my own family. So I'm not living with fucking strangers in a cell block. But I guess you don't have a choice in those situations.
You don't have a choice.
The conditions of the prison worsened in Moundsville. Congratulations. They made the United States Department of Justice top 10 most violent correctional facilities list.
Wow. What a fucking award to have by your name.
Do you think they get over the system and they're like, listen up, guys.
Hey, guys, we're going to have a great celebration tonight. We're going to have a bunch of you guys are going to line up against the wall. We're going to whip you because.
Yeah. This shit needs to stop. This is not the list we wanted to make. We gave you all these activities to do, and you're just messing it up.
Line up.
So, the facility's infamous, the Sugar Shack, which was prison's recreational room, became a popular spot for, all those fun prison activities like gambling, fighting, rape, and beheading people. I mean, why not?
And coloring. You forgot to add that.
Oh, yeah. They love their art. They drew with blood.
With lots of art. They have to squeeze in the rape.
That
Jesus Christ.
Extreme. I mean, beheading is extreme, I guess. And I mean, I don't know. That all this stuff is happening right in front of other people is what is shocking to me. Like, I'm going down to the rec room and going to go rape some people and maybe then paint a little. I mean, this is horrible. This is terrifying. Somebody that got in there for maybe a lesser crime or maybe a crime that they did, but it was out of passion and they really feel bad about it or something. Now this is the life they have to live. It's horrifying.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Yeah, I couldn't imagine. When you think of going to a place like the rec room, you do think of good positive things, but not here. Not at the Sugar Shack. It's not positive by any means.
That's hey, Chris, you want to go down to the rec room? Nope. I am good.
I'll stay in my
cell with my 2 roommates I hate.
We'll stay right here.
Cozy and hope they're not
fuck.
Into beheadings.
Yes.
Right?
Oh my God.
I hope they don't have the arm strength for that.
No.
In 1929, the state doubled the size of the penitentiary in an attempt to calm the violence, giving them a little more space. Spoiler alert, it did not help. So in total, 36 homicides took place at Moundsville. There was a prison break in 1979 and a riot in 1986. One of the most notable homicides was that of R.D. Wall, inmate 44670, on October 8th of 1929. R.D. was a well-behaved inmate that was up there in years. He was older, and he offered to do things around the prison, so he's basically like the prison handyman. So the warden allowed him to live down in the boiler room so he can kind of spread out and be alone. And other inmates were, I'm sure, completely jealous of that and also suspicious of why RD's getting this special treatment.
Yeah.
So, of course, they accused him of being a snitch or something. That must be why he's getting this from the warden. So they attacked and killed him with dull shifts. I think they beheaded him too.
I thought so too.
It was 3 guys that went down there, and that's their usual MO. Kill, behead, done.
I do have a little more to add to that story.
Please do.
So, do you know why he was in jail to begin with?
No, I didn't find that. I didn't look that up.
Rape. So, from what I read on R.D. Wall is that another reason, not only was he kind of like the jail snitch, but apparently the criminals in the jail didn't take too well to any crimes against women or children. So they already had kind of a distaste for him, and he was trying to stay on the good side to stay away from all that shit because he knew that wasn't cool going through the jail. So yeah, he was serving a life sentence for rape.
Isn't that funny how prisoners are very judgmental about what crime you did, and they
right.
I mean, I get it. It's fine. Everybody has a code. So
Yeah.
they're not down with some of that stuff.
His fingertips were cut off.
Oh.
Yeah. And some believe that he was decapitated, but at least his throat was severely sliced. So either way, it was maybe in an effort. Yeah.
Yeah, they were working on it, but their shivs were dull, so
Yeah.
they didn't go down there with the right equipment, or maybe they meant to do that just to make it less quick and more horrible.
Maybe they should have waited on the fingertips. I mean, they probably could have gotten through that head a lot quicker had they.
That's some flayed man type bullshit from Game of Thrones. That's fucking
Oh,
awful
is it?
right
I didn't
there.
know that.
Cutting on fingernails and stuff.
Ooh.
That's
Yeah,
awful.
it hurts.
So another set of infamous murders within the walls of Moundsville took place during the 1986 riot. January 1st of 1986, around 5:30 p.m., 20 inmates known as, get this, they called themselves the Avengers.
No, they did not.
This is 1986, so the Avengers, they exist in the comic book world.
Very much so,
These fucking dudes know who the Avengers are. And
You think they're playing roles like, I'm Iron Man, and then the other one's like,
oh, I'm Thor.
Yeah.
I'm a god. It's just like, these people were not being honest about their life's choices and who they really were. If this is how they see themselves as like supernatural superheroes that protect the universe, they're the good guys. Yeah. And then these guys are attacking prison guards and poor cafeteria employees and then giving themselves this name. It's just not fair.
It's not right. How dare they?
No. Anyways, these 20 guys rushed guards and the food service employees. They handcuffed them and they held them hostage for 2 days. But they actually never seriously harmed the guards or the employees. However, they did kill 3 inmates during that time. They just got buck wild so they can go take care of 3 other people.
They were avenging something.
It's true. I mean, maybe they felt like they were bad people. They raped or they did something to kids or something that they didn't agree with. And maybe they were protected a lot, these 3 people. And so they took this opportunity. We need to get these people on hold, the guards and whatnot, so we can take care of these people. I heard that one of them they killed because they put them in a giant pot in the kitchen.
What?
Yeah. And we saw the kitchen. And if you've ever been on a military base or ship or something like that, they have pots you can fucking put people in. And that's how they murdered one of the inmates.
See, okay, I thought one of the stories when we went there is that they had put one of them in the freezer. You remember they had those humongous walk-in freezers?
When we did the tour, I swore they said that too.
Yeah, yeah.
But I found online that they put somebody in a pot. I mean, there was 3 deaths, and I only really read about the one. So maybe that was the other thing. I mean, 36 murders happened. They could have all been interesting.
Could have been. But, just curious, because maybe the tour guides, maybe they just spun it a little bit to say that someone was locked in the fridge, because you can investigate a fridge. You can't exactly investigate a pot that's no longer there, right?
No, but the kitchen is an active location. So separate from those 36 murders that happened inside Moundsville State Penitentiary, executions also took place there as well.
Yeah.
The notorious Lonely Heart Killer, Harry Powers, was among one of the men hanged at Moundsville. Powers was a super douchebag. He used newspaper personal ads to lure lonely women.
Oh, yes. The Lonely Hearts Killer was there?
Yeah.
I don't remember that. Oh, my God.
Lots of famous people were there or tried to be there. Because didn't Charlie Manson try to be here at one point, too? He wrote a letter and stuff. I didn't put that in here. But because he got rejected. Yep. But he wanted to come here because he actually said it was better than where he was at. So,
yeah, I like how the whoever was running the prison at the time was like, nope, my place is too good for your sorry ass.
Well, they shouldn't be able to request lesser places, Mm-mm. It's just. No. I know some of them do it for a trade-off on more information, and that's good for the victims' families and stuff. It's kind of they should trick them though and be like, yeah, we'll take you to a nicer one, get all the information they need, and then be like, or just joking. I had my fingers crossed. But Harry Powers, super douche, writes newspaper articles, lures lonely women into believing that he's looking for love and marriage, and then he robs them and murders them.
Yeah, he was this total creep.
Yeah, and some of these women were single mothers.
Yeah.
So he was arrested in 1931 after being convicted of murdering 2 women and 3 children.
Oh, come on. What?
I feel like he wouldn't have been liked in the prison, but
right.
He was executed either way, so he never really had to mingle with them. They executed him a year after his arrest in 1932.
Good.
From 1899 to 1959, 94 men were executed, either by hanging or by electrocution from Old Sparky, the nickname that they gave their electric chair, which is still, or was when we were there, in the gift shop. You can see it.
Yes.
Pictures.
You can't touch. Nope, but you can see it.
I don't know if you want to.
No, I don't think you want to either. But the 94 men that they executed, isn't that the pictures that they have all along the wall as you walk in?
Was that? I just thought that was pictures of inmates. But like just in general, some of the inmates that they still had old pictures. But there was a lot, and they were very interesting to look at, those different faces and everything. Some of them look like average Joes or really like nice kids or people, and then some looked very fucking concerning. Yeah,
some of them were like, how did they even get the photographer in the same room with this guy? Because that's a nope.
It is interesting, the variety of people to be, these are human beings. And like I said before, not that it justifies what they did at all. They all did something bad and they deserve some kind of punishment for it. But it's kind of interesting to be like face to face with seeing these individuals that were executed or put in this prison and probably treated very badly. And this is their photo before they went into that, this is like the last shot of them. It's kind of interesting. So fun fact.
Oh,
and this, it's a very popular story, but execution by hanging was a public affair until June 19th of 1931, when Frank Heyer, a man sentenced to death for killing his wife, was decapitated by his noose.
Yeah.
I think it was something about the way he dropped and the way the noose was on his neck and just the force of his weight that caused this fairly rare event. It didn't happen all the time.
But back then it was a public hanging, right? Like people could go and watch this.
People watched this happen. And then after that, they were like, ooh, we can't do that anymore. So they still did hangings, but they were by invitation only.
Okay.
Wouldn't you love to get that invitation?
Yes.
Oh my God. What am I going to wear? Toward the final years of the prison, there were more instances of riots and escapes, like small ones. At that point, the population had hit 2,000 inmates. But as more facilities were built in West Virginia, the number started to get lower to 7, then 6. And then in 1986, the West Virginia Supreme Court ruled that the 5 by 7 foot cells were cruel and unusual punishment. The prison was phased out over the next 9 years, closing in 1995. In total, over the 119 years of operation, 998 men died behind the walls of Moundsville State Penitentiary, either by being sentenced to death, by being murdered by other inmates, committing suicide to escape this fucking horrible place, or just eventually living out their days there.
Yeah. Wow. I wonder how many actually got to live out their days.
I mean, like, I'd be drinking that hot coffee to get that throat cancer. I mean, not really. I know throat cancer's got to be awful. But, I mean, like, maybe you get to go to the infirmary and there's a little butter in there. It's safe. I don't know.
Anything would be better.
Horrifying. I don't like to be at work and have catty little girls knowing that they're talking about me. I sure as hell don't want to be thinking that around any corner somebody could, like, want to just fucking stab you for no reason.
We saw the shanks that they were hand making in that prison. They had them on display for you.
They did, out of like toothbrushes and stuff like that.
Everything, anything that these guys get their fucking hands on, they were just like making a shank out of this bad boy. I mean, everything.
They just go and sand it down into a point, and that's all they needed.
I think that's what they were doing in the rec area.
It is like a basement, so they got that like hard floor.
Yeah. Whew, man. But yeah, I would be doing anything to get out of that situation.
So yeah, me too. Definitely don't want to stay there. But we visited there. So, because legend has it. Because we're sick. Legend has it, though, we know from personal experience
Yeah.
that plenty of the inmates still roam the halls, cells, and rec room of the Moundsville State Prison. Some claim the prison sits on an old Native American burial ground, because people just love to throw that thought around, I think. And
Yes.
they say that.
I think so
yeah,
too.
I mean, it's just kind of like, there were Native Americans in this area, but they're buried there.
Right.
That's what's really going on.
They've got to be buried somewhere.
Yeah,
So.
they just throw it out. It is a massive prison. I mean, it might be covering something.
Yeah, I read that too.
Yeah. So they think that that's what's fueling the supernatural forces there. Yeah. There's others that just think it's connected to all the horrible deaths and the shit that went down there. Just the emotion that will put off, and the stamp, the bad stamp it would leave on the location.
Yeah.
There are reports of seeing former guards, or at least somebody in a guard's uniforms. It could be those inmates from the riot, I guess, or riots that they had, as well as seeing inmates. People have seen shadow people wandering the premises, to the point where when the prison was still in operation, guards would see like something down in the prison yard, and they would think that it was a prisoner like trying to escape or was out loose from his cell. And so they'd call for backup, and then they'd get down there to examine the area, and there'd be nothing there.
Oh, there was nothing there. I love that.
So these kinds of reports weren't just happening after it closed, and they were like, what are we going to do with this big empty building? Let's make up a ghost story and get people to come in and investigate. Nope. The stories came from the prison guards while they were working there. There's also unexplained noises, voices, and cold spots. We wouldn't be able to tell you about cold spots because, like we said, it was freezing our fucking ass off the whole time. I would be more alarmed if there was a hot spot, and also relief. Whatever demon was putting that off, I'd be like, hug me, please.
I know. We would have huddled around that hot spot like nobody's business.
However, the shadows and the voices and even physical feelings of a presence of unseen forces, we can tell you a lot about that.
I'm chomping at the bit here to say, don't we know that?
Oh my God. Like I said before, Moundsville, with its goth style and massive size, it has no trouble setting the scene of a horror film. But this place is not all talk and no show. No. When we investigated the prison, we received multiple EVPs, a couple of very interesting photos, and man, oh man, were these spirits handsy.
They were handsy. Damn, I wish I hadn't posted that picture just like recently, because there was that one incident where we were up on one of the levels and your backpack just unzipped.
Yeah.
Like, what?
That was the most impressive thing about this location, is because we've been to a lot of places and, maybe you feel like, oh, I feel like something's touching my arm right now or whatever. But it had never been to the level of this location. And I don't even think it has been since then. It was the first touch that we got is when we were walking through the maximum security cells, and my sister was still with us at this point too. And this is like where the worst of the worst were housed. And it's even where somebody got jumped and they were murdered pretty much right in the spot that you were standing.
Yep.
You're standing there just talking to my sister and I. And I think we're maybe trying to decide where we're going, or we're figuring out where are we at, because we were just kind of wandering around. And then your bag like moved and hit your leg or something. And we have it on video. You like jump in shock. Like, what the fuck?
I was like, what just happened? Like, I expected that there was someone like trying to get past me, because it just like, it just moved. Like, why did my bag just move? And you know what? When we had gone through there earlier, because they took us on a tour of the place earlier so that we could get a feel for the prison.
Yeah.
And somebody else said that they had felt something in that exact same spot.
I do not remember that, because I was like in the back or whatever. I felt like that guy was racing us through it or something. I'm too busy of like, oh my God, this is our first time walking through. I have to get all my pictures and stuff like that. Right away. Hello, ghost, I'm here. And so I was like in the back trying to chill and take extra photos and stuff. And all I kept hearing is beheading.
Yeah.
That's really all I caught.
Well, yeah, I was up front with him because I was trying to hear the story, and he was way ahead of us, and I couldn't hear shit because he was just like running through there. I don't know if this guy was afraid or if he just wanted to run through there because he's like, these people need to get to their investigation, whatever. But up front, one of the guys had just gone through there, and he felt the same thing that I had, like when I was standing there with you guys.
It was so crazy. It was so funny to watch you like react too. And I think my sister was like, what? Where I'm just like kind of used to watching you freak out. So I'm just like, what happened? What was that? You tell me more and then let's talk to it and stuff. And I think my sister's like, I'm done.
Right. We stood there for a while trying to figure out what it could have been, or if it was something that I had done just to debunk whatever it was. I remember to me, it seemed like we were in that spot for 30 more minutes trying to figure it out, just looking around.
We did spend a long time there, and we did an EVP session, and we took photos and everything like that. We didn't get a whole lot from that. I can't even remember really getting an EVP after that. But like I said, I have the video. You are standing still talking and then something moves. So it's not like you were in motion and were like, that's weird. Like when the zipper thing happened for me a little later in the night, which I do get to right before the zipper thing, we were walking into the old cell blocks. It's just you and me at this point. My sister really did kind of vamp out after this. And I don't.
Yeah, she was like, I'm done.
I don't know because we had to walk back to the gift shop where she would sit and wait on us. So she made it through a little bit more of the location. However, I don't think that she was like, I'm terrified, I can't handle this anymore. I think she was more like, I'm fucking exhausted and I'm cold. And so she hunkered down in the gift shop where it was a little warmer.
Yeah, there was a lot more bodies in the gift shop for whatever reason. A lot of people had given up early and they were like trying to sleep in the gift shop. You remember that, going in there with the sleeping bags?
Because there was like a table in there and there wasn't a whole lot of space. So these people had gotten there underneath the table.
Yeah.
I guess because the lights were on too, that it helped made it like darker.
Yeah.
But you could do that when you take these tours, and they're overnight tours. They say you can bring a sleeping bag and you can sleep in the gift shop. I don't think they want you sleeping anywhere else.
Right. I know.
Not that they would know that you were doing it if you wanted to, but because we were there with a group of people. However, this place is so massive.
Huge.
We might have ran into people twice or something.
Oh my God.
It was crazy how alone you could feel.
Yeah. And I remember when we would run into somebody, you could see them in the shadows and you would be like, are you a person or what? And they'd be like, it's cool, I'm a person. Like, I'm going to shoot them or something. But I'm like, can they not see me? Are they freaking out thinking that I'm a ghost? How come they're not asking the same thing? Because anytime I saw a shadow, I'm like, what is that? Is it a person or what? I was calling it out every single time.
Well, yeah, because you'll be like, other people are there. Yeah. So you're, who's down there? And they might respond back. It's just like the bathroom. It's, you knock on the door and you say, someone's in here.
Yeah, right. You don't want to just jump in on you.
Yeah, so I mean, like, we would yell out, like, who's down there? Is that someone? Yep. And if they responded back very clearly as like, yes, someone's down here, then we would know. But we had one point when we first started that we were like looking down a hallway for quite some time and nobody was responding when we were asking who's down there.
No.
And it looked like shadows were moving, right?
Yeah, shadows. We had hits on our meter. I had a cold spot. Oh my God, I did have a cold spot. I remember that now. There was a room that was right off to the left that I went in it and I felt a spot like right away. And I was like, ooh, I don't want to be in this room. So I went back out into the hallway. That hallway we'd sat in for like hours with your sister, like taking thousands of pictures.
She was so cute during that though, because I get her to hold equipment and stuff like that. And at one point I have her holding my camera because I don't know, replacing batteries or taking photos or something like that. And we won't post this because it's not important. It's just me finding my sister adorable, but she's holding the camera and you can hear her say like, oh, I see something. And I'm like, what do you see? What do you see? And she goes, little orby things. The way she's whispering and she's in awe of like whatever her eyes are seeing.
Oh my gosh.
And you know how we feel about orbs. So,
yeah, right.
I mean, it was probably more her eyes playing tricks on her or something like that.
Yeah.
But it was really cute how she right away seemed to kind of like into it. Yeah. And then I think as she got colder and colder, she's like, I'm done. Back to the backpack thing. That happened as we were entering the old cell block. And as we walked in there, it felt like something tapped me on the head. Like before we even got up by the cells and the backpack thing happened, I remember something felt like it hit my head. And I remember touching my hair and everything, and my head wasn't wet. And I never saw water droppings or any kind of leakage in the entire prison, maybe down in the boiler room area.
Oh, yeah. But you filmed the whole thing, so you would think that you would stumble upon something looking like it was dripping. I remember that very clearly because we like froze. You're like, what just touched me? And I'm like, what do you mean what just touched you? And you're like, I don't know, maybe water, and you're touching on your hair or something. And you're like, but my hair's not wet.
Yeah. And then we even said, maybe it's a bug, but it is -30. It's not really that cold, but I mean,
it felt
cold.
like it.
And I don't even think bugs are supposed to be out in those kind of temperatures. And we never saw any bugs any other time. So, you know, we do an EVP session, we take photos, and we don't get much from it. So we start up the stairs.
Yeah.
And then you start telling me the story about an inmate that used to be there and just his whole, because that's a fantastic story. Though I can never remember the name of the girl. Do you remember?
Zona, Heaster, Shue, the Greenbrier Ghost.
Oh, that's such a cool story. I don't think enough to ever do like a podcast on unless she's haunting something now. But I think she just kind of came back from the dead to get her mom to figure out that her husband killed her.
Yes.
And then her husband was at this prison for a period of time.
Yeah. Me telling you that story was my inspiration for moving forward with this podcast. P.S.
Because you were so good at it. I was so into it. And we're just walking the halls and you're just telling me this story. And I thought, this is the best. I'm in this creepy ass location and she's just telling me this coolest murder ghost story.
Oh, man. You know, while I was there, I couldn't remember the guy's name, but his name was actually, you're going to love this. His name was actually James Crookshanks.
I bet he got made fun of, and that's why he wasn't going to last at that prison. They probably transferred him for his own safety.
Yeah. Well, the guy was a bad guy.
Yeah. So you're telling the story, and we're walking the halls we're walking, I don't know, you'd call it a catwalk or something, in front of the cell blocks of the old cell block. And then all of a sudden you hear this. Oh no, did you get hit on the glove? Did you get like that tap on your glove?
Was that when that happened there?
I think that happened before the zipper thing.
Okay. Well, that makes sense because I've blocked out everything that happened like right in that same area when I started hearing your backpack unzip because I was like, whoa, hold on. What? Like that's the first thing I focused in on. But I do remember getting tapped on my hand, but I don't remember if that was in the same.
It was in the same area for sure. I can't remember for sure if it happened before the backpack, but basically like I had that tap on the head. You got like the same kind of tap on your hand. You're like,
where I thought it would,
you're holding your camera up and you're taking pictures as you walk. And then all of a sudden you're like, something just touched my hand and it felt like a water drop.
Water.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah.
But your glove wasn't wet. And then, you know, we really weren't in a place, like I said, we never saw any water dropping in the first place. And then it would kind of be like an odd space for that to be happening. But then, the infamous backpack is unzipping. I'm walking, you're behind me, and then all of a sudden you just hear zip. And then I heard it with my own ears, but I'm like trying to process, what the fuck? That's so weird. I'm not touching my backpack. And then you're like, what was that noise? And I'm like, my backpack. And you're like, but why? I mean, and I'm like, I'm asking myself that too. I mean, I should have verbalized it, but.
Oh, it was such a weird moment because we were both trying to process it. We're like, oh, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Like I don't know, when you're ghost hunting, paranormal investigating, you're expecting something to happen not exactly to you. You're expecting to see something around in front of you outside of your bodies. So when your partner's bag is just being unzipped in front of you while you're walking, it's kind of like, how did that happen? Why did that happen? I've been with you on hundreds of places, not hundreds of places, lots of places. Your backpack is never just unzipped in front of me.
No. And you know, you say like, okay, the zipper could have just been breaking and it could come loose and stuff. It was not a slow like rip. Nope. It was just like you open your backpack. Right. I mean, you had to have been there. We have it on film. I'm filming in front of me. You can't see it. But we have audio on, and we have that posted on our YouTube page and everything. It doesn't do it justice though. From how loud it sounded and how perfect of a actual zip, like opening your purse or your backpack or whatever, your suitcase. I mean, just a quick normal, I'm opening this up
Uh-huh.
zip, not like a slow rip, this thing is falling apart.
Nope.
Which it also, you know, when I fixed it, it didn't do that again for the rest of the night or anything like that.
No, we just happened to be in a good spot where somebody was like, I bet there's some shanks up in here. I'm going for them.
Right? And remember, that's what we were like, are you trying to gank my shit? You know, so we do an EVP session, and I think we got responses.
Yeah.
We got EVP responses that were like, that was me, or it was a laugh or something,
Yeah, we did get something.
where they kind of corroborated that they were fucking with us.
They were just kind of, I think that they were more taken off guard, that we recognized right away that they were trying to get our shit. Like, yeah, like a laugh or something. Like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to get your shit.
It really seemed like the spirits were just kind of like toying with us the whole time. I envision them like as just kind of leaned back on the cell's walls or something, and as we pass by, they're like, I'm gonna poke this bitch or something, you know, like,
yes,
I'm just gonna mess with her. And then they just find it so damn amusing. They weren't really responsive to any time we would ask them direct questions. It's more so like they just chimed in or messed with us whenever they felt like it.
Yes.
I mean, I wouldn't go as far as saying like Moundsville is full of like playful, silly spirits, you know. It wasn't that. But it seemed like they were waiting and they were watching us. And when you think of the type of characters that would have inhabited these walls, you know, that makes it less silly and playful and more like diabolical, you know?
It was, yeah. Right. And that's exactly what we were thinking while we were walking through there. It does seem like there should be diabolical characters in there, but everything that we kind of ran into seemed more, I mean, I remember going into the Sugar Shack, and I do have a picture that to me was pretty spooky, but you'd have to look at the picture and realize that nobody else could be casting this shadow. And because it was just you and I were in the Sugar Shack. So there is a weird shadow. It's an old picture. It's an out of focus picture. So even when I post it, people are just going to be like, yeah, okay, whatever. It's an out of focus picture. But you would have just had to have been there at the time to realize that nobody else could have been there casting that shadow. And like, you know, when you see something like that, as paranormal investigators do, you know, what do we have to think of? Was it a character just being sneaky and running away? Maybe he was trying to get in her backpack again, or was it something else?
You just think about like how criminals and murderers and rapists work. They are in the shadows and they're waiting and they're watching you. Yeah. And then, and I don't feel like we were in danger or anything, but I think they got a real kick out of scaring us and just kind of catching us off guard, which we know ghosts love to do, but not even in a silly manner, in a like, I'm going to show this bitch. Yeah. She thinks she's here. She thinks she's to investigate me. Yeah. You know, right. It's kind of eye opening, this place. It wasn't like any place that we had been to, I would think. I would say. I mean, yeah. I mean, this was our first prison. And I wanted to go to another one ever since because it was just so much fun. But really, it was interesting energy that we had never really encountered before. And then and then how physical they were. That was impressive. So we did get EVPs. We got a lot of female voices, mostly in the medical ward area, which was also where the female inmates would have been housed. So we got EVPs of females and we got other voices throughout the prison. We had this weird, like, flashlight thing going on down where RD Walls was. I was just going to bring that up. Yeah, we didn't even talk about our time there. We went down there and we were just trying to do a regular EVP session, and we had meters out and everything. And then all of a sudden my sister, who's just kind of a watcher, not necessarily partaking, again, just standing there, and somebody catches her off guard, her flashlights start dimming. Like, okay, whatever. It could be the batteries. This is a brand new flashlight, but maybe it's a battery. So I checked them or replaced them, and then it did it again. And it was like a push button one. It wasn't like those Maglite ones or nothing that you twist or turn. You have to push the button down hard to turn it on and off. And it wasn't going completely off either. It was just dimming, but it was very like kind of weird. Right. Right in her hand. Yeah. And then the rest of the night, she kept the same flashlight. It never happened again.
Never had another problem with it. I know, and we were super excited to be in that room because of all of the legends that had come out of there. But that was really all that we had experienced. I think, didn't we get a couple EVPs out of his room, though, too?
I think we did. And also, not that R.D. Walls is listening to this, but apologies to him. We called him by the wrong name the whole time we were down there.
Oh, my God, we did.
Yeah, we were like, RJ? What did they
I couldn't remember his name.
RJ
I remember
is
that.
not a normal name. So we were like, that can't be right, and started calling him by a wrong name. Maybe that's why he was like messing with my sister more, because she wasn't disrespecting him.
Right? These two ladies, they don't even know my name. And we're like, we're so sorry what happened to you, other guy's name. Who knows? That guy's name, that could have been his cellmate too, or someone that killed him. And he's just like, hate y'all. But this other chick right here with the flashlight, she's cool.
Yeah. You know, that's why, note to all paranormal investigators, take your notes, write your notes, take them with you, reference them before you start calling people by the wrong name. That was, I think, the one and only time we've done that. But we did get EVPs down there, though. I don't think any of them were very notable. I know that when we tried to leave, it told us, like, stay or don't go or something like that.
It was something along those lines. I'll have to go back and review, 'cause I don't remember, but it seemed like it didn't want us to leave at that point, which was kind of weird because there was another group going into that room at the time that we were leaving.
And so we were like, let's go. We don't want, interference with this other group and them kind of contaminating our stuff. So we left. But then that's the only notable EVP I remember from that spot, is that as soon as we were ready to go, it was like, don't. We did get some really great EVPs that were loud. I feel like maybe a lot of it was residual type. Like we were walking in on a conversation between spirits. I hope so, at least, because some of these EVPs are like, make it stop and I'll kill you. I'm hoping that has nothing to do with us.
Some of them were pretty brutal. I mean, the kind of energy that's there, it would make sense for that to have been like a residual. It's like, no, or I'll kill you. Or, I mean, because that's the kind of shit that went down there.
The two of them arguing or whatever, or like someone being attacked by saying like, make it stop. No, and I did write this down. I'm sorry, I'm just now noticing it. This one. When we were down in R.D. Wall's boiler room, my sister commented how cold it was, and there was an EVP that said, I know. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think R.D. was way into my sister, and because it really only responded to what she was saying, and then when we were leaving and the flashlight thing and stuff.
But we were even joking about that when we were down there. We were like, she's a single lady or something like that. You remember that? And she's like, don't say that.
When her flashlight started going off, we were like, yeah, we love paranormal bait for sure. Anything to help the activity go. So, but we also got EVPs of like, please, like, help me. And then we would just get the random, like, hey, sorry. We'd get hey, and one was like really loud. And then when we were in that maze area and I was like panicking and getting scared, what I told you about in the beginning, we actually got an EVP that was like, hey girl. And see, that's the kind of shit that creeps me out, is like, they know
very
we're
direct.
Lost and they see us and what we're going through. Yeah. And he's like a creep and he's like, hey girl, Plus he was trying to be helpful,
that's so
but
funny.
Of course I would not take it that way because I'm such an ass. I'm like, don't talk to me. I'll find my own way.
It reminds me of like all the memes that you see online, the hey girl memes.
Is that
Have you seen
with
those?
Ryan Gosling or?
Yes.
Now, if Ryan Gosling was saying hey girl, I'd be like, bye Chris, okay. I'm lost. Here forever. But I don't take it that way.
Yeah, I don't think he'd be locked up there. Well, I mean, he might be investigating it though. That'd be pretty cool.
That would be really cool. So. Lastly, the coolest evidence to me was the shadow that we got. We talked about the kitchen had activity and stuff like that. Not to mention the kitchen was just fucking creepy. I think because it had a pantry and it had a freezer and it had this door and that door, and you're kind of like, you feel a little closed in because it's a room and it wasn't like some of the other rooms that were wide open spaces.
Very open.
Yeah, like the cafeteria and the rec room and all that was wide open. But the kitchen felt a little more enclosed with a lot of little doors everywhere. But you got video, I think, a video of a shadow because it's moving. Why didn't I write? I wrote down video. Shit, just look at your notes, Wendy. You got a video of a shadow moving like behind a pole, and it'll just look like a blob going behind the pole.
Oh my
But I'm
God.
telling
I forgot about
we were
that.
in pitch fucking darkness with only.
That's the DigiBlue.
Yeah. And that doesn't put
Oh
off
my
like
God.
any light. It's just night vision.
Nope.
And we didn't have
vision.
like flashlights going or anything like that. It was dark. Nobody would have put this shadow off.
Wow, that's such a good one. And I feel like such an idiot now because I remember this location so much because I studied every one of those pictures for years. It seems like I've gone back to them and looked at those pictures, like every corner and every different lighting I've looked, because it just felt so intense. I completely forgot about that video.
I forgot about that video until I wrote this. I mean, when we're doing a location we've been to, you're gonna look up the history, refresh your memory, write it. Then you're gonna add in your personal thoughts and experiences. But I also have to refer to our YouTube channel and watch all the evidence in case I've forgotten something. And I totally forgot this. And I was like, this is an amazing video. Like,
it's spooky.
This is so cool. I totally forgot about this.
That was a good camera. That was a good video. I gotta look that up now.
So overall, like I said, this place will not disappoint you. However, I am sure the spirits at this location do not like you giving them instructions, or being told what to do. That's not the type of characters that they are, as like most bad guys, criminals are not into that.
Sure.
So, just advice to future investigators that go to this place. I mean, I think you really just go in strapped with your equipment, ready for evidence, and just be yourself and let them kind of take charge, because they're going to do it anyways.
For sure. You never know what you're going into as a paranormal investigator, ever. You can read the stories, you can heed the warnings from other paranormal investigators, and you can just go in with your own expectations. But regardless, it's always going to be different, because there's never a cue card for them to say, okay, here's where I jump out, or here's where I give them a voice. It's just, and this place was full of that. It was a massive location. There were so many different levels that you could visit and totally be by yourself, because everybody else had been camping out in the gift shop.
Yeah.
In the gift shop, people were freaking sleeping. I felt like a total jerk when we had to go through there and go pee, because they're trying to snooze. And I'm like, but at the same time, my mind is blown, because you had to pay to be here. Granted, you would have had to have paid to stay in a hotel too, and this is way cooler. But why would you want to be sleeping when you could be out there, like chasing after shadow people or voices that don't belong to everybody? And
with that, the adrenaline that you're pumping in your body, like being in, how could you even sleep? Like, I could lay down in this gift shop with all these strangers, or I can go and just wander these halls, like, especially with all the strangers asleep. This is the best fucking time to do it. And so this was a really cool public tour. Financial reasons, you have to go on public tours every once in a while, because you can't afford to rent out whole damn prisons or hospitals and stuff like that. So that's how we did it. And I couldn't have been happier of how it turned out. It wasn't one of those packed out, there's 100 people here, you're running into them every turnaround. I guess it was the time of year that we went. We really lucked up, and we got like whole spaces to ourselves where it wasn't contaminated by other sources. And it just, you got the feel of that place. You got the creepy feel of wandering it by yourself. It was amazing. I really, really liked it.
I'm so glad you did this story, Wendy, because it just brings back so many good memories. That was such a great place to investigate, and creepy. Like I said, I pored over our pictures, just looking through everything. And I still, to this day, like I just posted something on Instagram as a throwback, because I was still looking into this story.
Now, why were you looking into this story? My motivation really was, my sister and I were talking about this year's vacations, and then she said next year she wants to go to Colorado, and I just read The Shining, and so I was like, well, we're gonna have to go to this hotel, and if we don't stay there, we have to do the tour at least, or whatever. And she's like, oh my god. And I'm like, no, it's a really fancy big hotel. Don't worry about it. I'm sure you'll find something to do while I take the tour or explore or whatever. But we can't go to Colorado and I not go here. There's always that comes up when we're together. The trip we're taking this year, I'm not dragging her to anything paranormal. I'm going to be able to get it out of the way before she and I meet up.
Right. It's on the way. So
But it's happening. It's got to happen. And that's what it's just like, she was cool going on that one investigation. Right. Why can't she be cool like that again?
Oh, I know.
But what made you think of it?
I was just looking for stories to do, and this is one of the ones that, one of the locations that we'd been on.
That just jumped out to you.
It just jumped out to me. It was even more intensified here recently because I'm super behind on lore, and I listened to an episode not too long ago, and as he's talking about it, and he's getting to a point, and I'm like, motherfucker, you're about to talk about Moundsville. I know that's where you're going. Yeah. And then, like, before he even said it, like, I'm like, just say Charles Manson. Just say it. I know that's where you're going. Like, I know the story.
I love that when that happens in lore, though. He's building up to a place and he's, like, describing it like we do kind of in our intros. We're giving, like, a tiny little bit, and then we're like, and this is my story. And he does that. So when I recognize the story, I'm like, I know what you're doing. And then sometimes he's caught me off guard and he said something different. I'm like, what? Wait, that sounds, I don't know this one. Or he'll talk about it for 2 seconds and then he'll flip it to like a different story. And I was I was excited. He does that sometimes. And it's like, I hope you plan on coming back to that later. I mean, like, because that would make a great story. But whatever, Aaron Mackey, just keep making your millions and doing it your way, I guess.
But I didn't realize when I had said earlier that I had kind of put Laura on in the back seat. I really am not that far behind because he's not recording them so often, like you had mentioned.
Yeah, he's such a jerk. But I digress. I just was really curious as what drove you to it. I seriously just wanted to know what your lead-in was for it.
I think it's super funny too because not too long ago you said it's going to be a story. It's going to be a place we went to in March, and I'm like, cool. We didn't go to Moundsville in March. We went to the Lemp Mansion, and I'm like, okay, good. I'm all set.
We had been to Moundsville in March, and we had also done all the Arizona stuff in March. So I thought, well, there's a variety of places we had done in March.
Right. There's a variety.
Maybe we could eliminate some if I ask her that question. But the second you hesitated and you're like, did we? I was like, fuck, she's doing this story. I know she is. If she has to think that hard about it, because we did it in March, but it wasn't my birthday. And the other places you would know because it was my birthday. Right.
I was
like, I just hated it because I was like, I know she could probably do it better.
Oh, but I was so heartbroken because I was so waiting for you to do the Lemp. I was like, I know she's doing the Lemp. Oh.
I'm not going there. You're doing that one. That's gonna take 1,000,000 years. So I say I won't do it, but I would assume that I just would assume that you were. I think I even told somebody one day. I was like, oh, she'll do that one.
Well, I can strike this one off the list.
I don't know. Anyways, the Lemp one though,
but
we'll talk about it at some point. So I don't want to get too far into it. I really do love the story though. I just always think that you research. I've said this before, maybe on the podcast, maybe just to you. I feel like you like time travel back just to write your stories. Because the Lemp took place over such a long history and the crazy things that happened there. I guess I just always assumed, you'll handle that one. But I might get bored one day or inspired and write it myself too.
I do actually time travel back to these places that I What?
That's my mind is blown. I love it though. But yeah, I was just inspired talking about, just basically just talking with my sister. It's so weird. From a conversation with my sister that I get to thinking about a paranormal location, but that shows you how it's like always on my fucking mind.
Really, that someone who is not into the paranormal, that the one and only place that they would go to investigate is this place. I mean, that's pretty intense too. I mean, she did see some stuff. She was involved in the experiences that we had for the beginning, before she, peaced out. But still,
she made it like half the time, I guess. She's a good sport.
She was a very good sport. So kudos to
and she'll
sister.
Never do it again.
That's too bad. That's too bad. That was a cool place. Yeah, but I mean, it's not her thing, so I get it. Anyways.
I don't care. We're supposed to make sacrifices
I know,
for
right?
relationships. friendships, and she's my sister.
Yes. So if any of you happen to be sisters of paranormal investigators that happen to be dragged to any awesome locations.
Oh my gosh, that would be the best story ever.
I know.
Please send us stories on you being dragged on a paranormal investigation. You were not down for it. You didn't know what to expect. And then your best friend, your cousin, your sister, your mom, I don't know.
Anybody.
they drug you along. Those are some funny stories, I bet.
So please write us. It's creaturesofthenight@paranormal@gmail.com. Those would be great. We would love to hear your stories if you were, like Wendy said, dragged to a location, or if you're a paranormal investigator and you happen to have gone to Moundsville like we did. Maybe you were one of the ladies that were taking a snooze in the gift shop. Maybe it's because you were too tired, or maybe you just couldn't handle what was going on. We'd still really like to hear your story. So write us or find us on any of our social media pages.
Oh, yeah. And just so you know, to find us on social media, it is COTN paranormal or COTN_paranormal. Just depends on where you're at.
Yep.
I think Instagram's the only one that uses the underscore because you know how they are. Can't have any gaps.
Right.
But on Twitter and on Facebook, it's just a COTN. So could check us out. We'll post pictures and evidence. We'll get to post evidence from this location. Yeah. And then please share with us your experiences or your thoughts on our evidence. And just please rate and review our podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. I know you can definitely do it on iTunes. So please, please, please do that just so we know how we're doing. And then you can just share with us your thoughts on the podcast. So that would be really awesome.
Keep your eyes peeled for some evidence that'll be going up on social media.
All right.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening, and goodbye.
Bye.